Are Brandon Gibbs and Julia Trubkina still together after 90 Day, The Last Resort Season 2? Brandon Gibbs and Julia Trubkina from 90 Day, The Last Resort have kept fans guessing about whether they are still together after filming Season 2. Julia hails from Krasnodar in Russia but was working in South Korea when she met Brandon from Virginia. Julia did not expect to be living on a farm surrounded by animals when she moved to the US. She also didn't expect to have interfering in-laws like Brandon's parents, Ron and Betty Gibbs, who were far too involved in their son's marriage to Julia. Former go-go dancer Julia recently completed 5 years of living in the US. However, life has been full of challenges for the young reality TV star. Julia has dealt with unemployment, visa issues, baby problems, and more since her 90 Day Fiance Season 8 debut, and Brandon has done little to help ease her distress. There have been instances where Julia has cried on social media while sharing cryptic updates about how messy her life has been since marrying Brandon. Still, Julia is finally seeing better days in America. She's finally celebrating her first major success in the United States. However, is Brandon by her side as she does that? Brandon revealed Julia cheated on him. Brandon was thinking of getting a divorce. 90 Day, The Last Resort teased a cheating scandal involving Brandon and Julia in the Season 2 trailer. More details were revealed in an episode where the cast did a group hypnotherapy session with a clinical hypnotherapist and life coach, Sarah Malone. It was during this session that Julia came clean about having cheated on Brandon. It was revealed that their long-distance relationship had taken a toll on Julia's decision to be unfaithful. They had been apart for several months at a time, and Julia wondered if Brandon was committed to her. "My wife, she's one person I should be able to trust. And I feel betrayed right now by that person." Julia had cheated on Brandon about 5 years back. She was wondering if Brandon was dating her casually and didn't think they were going to get married and start a new life together. Julia confessed she had kissed her ex when she was in Russia. Brandon told the cameras that cheating was the worst thing Julia could have done. He admitted that divorce had become a stronger possibility after what Julia had done. Julia didn't think she could have kids with Brandon. Julia opened up about her health issues. Julia explained that her decision not to have children with Brandon was a personal choice, largely influenced by a medical concern. She said, "So when I say like I don't want kids, and when I say I don't want because I'm so scared to be in reality. So, I can't have a kids." Overcome with emotion, Julia broke down in tears, struggling to articulate her feelings. She also shared that she had begun discussing the possibility of having children with Brandon, which prompted her to travel to Russia for a doctor's consultation. Julia revealed that Brandon repeatedly advised her to get a second opinion in America. After traveling back to Russia to visit her family, she opted to undergo a full-body checkup. Given the high cost of healthcare in the US, Julia acknowledged she had been dealing with a couple of sicknesses for a long time and anticipated that the tests would confirm them. However, she was shocked to learn that the results indicated she might be unable to have children. Julia wished to bring her Russian parents to the US. Why didn't Brandon want Julia's parents to come to America? Julia and Brandon also had to deal with disagreements when she expressed her wish to bring her parents to America. She hadn't seen her family in years and wanted to badly meet them. However, Brandon expressed disapproval and was unsupportive of Julia's decision. He worried about how Julia's parents' visit would interfere with their lives. Julia wished to get in touch with her family and, considering how close Brandon is to his own parents, he should have supported Julia. However, Julia had to apply for her parents' visa sneakily behind his back, leading to another argument between them. Brandon disapproved of Julia's bold behavior. Brandon called his wife a WH. Brandon met Julia when she was working as a go-go dancer. Brandon had still fallen in love with Julia on the day he started talking to her and even decided to marry her. However, Brandon didn't want Julia to work as a go-go dancer in America. Julia has had a hard time finding jobs in the country in the last 5 years, despite being skilled in various aspects and having worked more than 15 jobs in her past, such as bodybuilder, singer, waitress, hookah girl, designer, party planner, and drawing teacher. Brandon didn't want Julia to dance at a strip club even though it would make her an income that was more than what Brandon was bringing home. Brandon asked Julia, "So why stop there? Why don't you do P***?" He was ashamed of his friends finding out that Julia worked at a strip club. Brandon cautioned Julia that he didn't want her to do something that many proud guys wouldn't want their girlfriend or wife to do. Brandon didn't really act mean with Julia in their initial 90-day fiancé seasons, but he changed over the last few years. Brandon showed his nasty side when he talked down to Julia and called her names even on camera. While he had always been seen as a mild-mannered man on the show, Brandon was out of line after Julia danced on top of the bar and unintentionally exposed herself. Brandon mentioned that Julia was dressed like a WH*** and did not look like someone who he'd want to be the mother of his children. He also found Julia's dancing to be suggestive. Julia did not agree with Brandon. Brandon and Julia toured Europe together after the last resort. Brandon and Julia are still together. Brandon and Julia spent a lot of time traveling in the early days of their relationship. They mostly went to Europe before 90-Day Fiancé, and after they got married, they took a liking to cruises and visiting places such as the Dominican Republic, St. Thomas Virgin Islands, and the Bahamas. The last resort was filmed a year ago, so it's very obvious which couples stayed together and which couples split, and Julia and Brandon are among the ones who are still making things work. Julia tries to make it look like she's all by herself in the US and mostly posts pictures with her dogs. Brandon has spoiled their storyline by sharing videos of him and Julia even celebrating Christmas 2024 together with their parents. The couple also went on a romantic European vacation in late 2024, and this time around, Julia couldn't resist the temptation to show off the pictures on social media. It was only after Julia and Brandon were announced as the last resort cast that they made it their agenda on Instagram to show that they'd split. Does Brandon support Julia's new career? What is Julia's Kingdom of Dogs business? While Brandon did not approve of Julia dressing in revealing outfits on 90 Day, the last resort, he doesn't seem to mind Julia having an OnlyFans account where she presumably posts risque content about herself. Funnily enough, Brandon himself has an OnlyFans account, so his outrage over Julia's supposedly provocative dancing looked over the top. Julia is currently pursuing a career as a dog trainer, inspired by her father-in-law's family business and her own love for dogs. In January 2025, Julia launched monthly subscription boxes for dogs. Each box is carefully curated with new surprises every month to bring joy to pet owners and their furry friends. Julia has named her business Kingdom of Dogs. Again, Brandon has refrained from commenting on Julia's business to keep up with their 90-day, the last resort storyline. However, the pictures and videos that Julia posts on social media suggest that Brandon is being a dutiful Instagram husband and doing all the camera work for his wife. 90-Day Fiancé's Brandon Gibbs reveals impressive health update after hospitalization and Julia Trubkina's huge milestone in US. Brandon Gibbs from 90 Day, the last resort posted a video showcasing his workout routine following a panic attack that led to his hospitalization. He married Julia Trubkina in 2020, and their marriage has been facing challenges, including financial instability. In late 2024, Brandon joined 90 Day, the last resort season 2 for marriage counseling, during which he uncovered some of Julia's secrets that triggered his anxiety. Brandon experienced severe anxiety in the past, which landed him in the hospital. Despite the difficulties in their marriage, Julia has managed to launch a new business to support both herself and Brandon. While Julia is advancing in her career, Brandon is focused on improving his health. Recently, he posted several Instagram stories, revealing an impressive health update by sharing a video of himself at the gym. Brandon posted several Instagram stories, revealing an impressive health update by sharing a video of himself at the gym. The clip showed Brandon climbing a rope and looking much healthier and agile than he did a few months ago. The 90 Day, the Last Resort cast member appeared happy and excited about his progress at the gym. Brandon's friend and fitness trainer, Antoine Britt, also shared a video showcasing Brandon's physical excellence, with Brandon commenting, "The best workouts with you." Although Julia didn't comment, she liked the video. Antoine's post about Brandon received almost 200 likes. In the comments section, various Instagram users congratulated the 90-day Fiance star on his impressive workout. Some left fire emojis while others left clapping hands emojis to cheer him on and express how proud they were of him. @Bestome said, "Stay healthy and hope happiness follows." After Brandon mentioned that he always has the best workouts with Antoine, the trainer liked the comment and replied with a flexed biceps emoji. Antoine regularly posts videos and updates while working with people at the gym. One day after sharing Brandon's workout, he invited his followers to a free women's protection workshop, and continued showing off the great progress his clients have been making under his training. Scrolling through his Instagram page, it appeared that his video with Brandon received the most likes and comments he's ever received on one post. What Brandon Gibbs choosing difficult workout after hospitalization means. Brandon may be looking to improve his mental health through exercise. Brandon's recent health update indicated that he was in a much better physical condition than he was before. It appears that he has fully recovered after his hospitalization and is making an effort to stay in shape. Brandon has always enjoyed physical activities. Last year, he resumed working out. He posted a video of himself lifting 225 pounds for the first time in his life, noting it was a major milestone for him. This latest update suggested that his physical strength is still at the same level as it was a year ago, despite problems in his marriage. Brandon's new workout routine suggested that he is actively trying to address his mental health concerns. He invests time and energy in his hobbies, such as exercise, to relieve muscle tension and lower anxiousness. Brandon probably wants to support Julia, provide support for her, and help her develop her new brand in the United States. Additionally, as the primary income earner, and an only child caring for his elderly parents, the 90-day, the Last Resort cast member may be prioritizing his own well-being for the future. What Brandon Gibbs' workout video means for 90-day Fiance future. Does Brandon even want to return to reality TV? Brandon received positive reactions from fans and followers after Antoine shared his workout video. It's clear that fans are happy to see Brandon doing so well, especially after he was hospitalized. Appearing on 90-day, the Last Resort to lay bare the various issues in his marriage with Julia likely also brought on a lot of stress for the reality star. After 90-day, the Last Resort, it's unclear what the future holds for Brandon and Julia with regard to their future on reality TV. There's always the possibility that they could be cast for one of the spin-offs again. At this point, though, it's way too early to determine if there is a reality TV future for them. Fans congratulating Brandon on his workout video shows that there's an interest in seeing him do well in his life, so a return to 90-day Fiance might happen. Then again, the stresses that come with that might result in Brandon deciding he wants to stay far away from reality TV after the Last Resort. Our take on Brandon Gibbs tackling challenging workout. Brandon appears driven to attain a visually appealing physique. Brandon is undertaking a challenging workout routine without making excuses. He seems more determined to become his best self, and the video shows that he is already succeeding. Brandon may also be working hard to build muscles. Fans speculated that he was possibly jealous of Julia's former Russian boyfriend, who was also athletic. Therefore, it would make sense for Brandon to try to prove himself better than any other man who has been in his wife's life. Hopefully, the 90-day Fiance's Brandon Gibbs is talking about Ron and Betty. Is he leaning on his controversial parents as Julia hits a big career milestone in the US? Brandon Gibbs from 90-day, The Last Resort is grateful to have his parents in his life as he works through his marital issues with Julia Trubkina. Brandon initially met Julia through a mutual friend, and after spending time together, they got engaged in Iceland. They made their debut on the show in 2020 in 90 Day Fiancé Season 8. During the season, Julia had difficulty connecting with Brandon's parents as they were overly involved in their relationship. Despite the family drama, the couple got married, with Julia's parents joining the ceremony via video call. While Julia and Brandon appear to be a happy couple on social media, they have been dealing with significant marital issues in reality. Their problems are so serious that they have decided to seek marriage counseling in 90 Day, The Last Resort Season 2. Brandon's primary issue with Julia is her reluctance to have a baby with him due to his perceived immaturity. On the other hand, Julia feels let down by her husband because he isn't assisting her in bringing her parents from Russia to the United States. Brandon said nice things about his mom and dad. Brandon values the presence of his parents in his life. In a recent episode of 90 Day, The Last Resort, Brandon and Julia participated in group therapy with his parents, Ron and Betty Gibbs, to address their unresolved issues. Julia revealed during the session that she had already applied for her parents' U.S. visa without Brandon's knowledge. This revelation caused Brandon to have a meltdown, and his parents sternly asked Julia to never hurt their son again. Ron and Betty sided with their son, leaving many 90 Day Fiance viewers disapproving of their stance. In response to the backlash, Brandon dedicated an Instagram post to his parents. Brandon posted a carousel of beautiful pictures of his parents, openly expressing his gratitude towards them. He wrote, "For anyone who thinks it bad to be close to your parents, I will never think that way." Brandon mentioned that he was raised with a lot of love and support and now feels it's important to reciprocate that respect. He added, "Since the news of my father's cancer and remission, I now value the time in life we have together more." Brandon's post revealed that he isn't choosing Julia over them, and they will remain his priority despite gossip among critics. Brandon's been living with anxiety. Brandon receives emotional support from his parents. Brandon suffers from severe anxiety, as mentioned in Julia's interview with Parade. His mental health deteriorated to the point where he required hospitalization. Julia tearfully described, in the happily ever after tell-all, his heart almost like stopped basically. She revealed that she has never experienced anxiety herself and struggles to understand how to deal with it. Thankfully, Brandon's parents are providing him with emotional support and trying to prevent any additional stress. As an only child, Brandon is deeply loved by his parents, who are willing to do anything to help him as he navigates his marital challenges. Julia started a new business in America. Julia's pet business is already thriving. Brandon loves his parents, and despite their controversial behavior on the show, he unapologetically shares his affection for them. Lately, he appears to be increasingly relying on them for support, especially as Julia progresses in her career as a businesswoman. Since Brandon didn't allow her to work as a dancer, she has started her own business called Kingdom for Dogs, which caters to pet owners. Just a few weeks after announcing her business, she celebrated a major achievement. Her subscription boxes were shipped to 19 different states in the United States, even reaching the remote state of Alaska. With Julia expanding and exploring new ways to generate income, her relationship dynamic with Brandon could change even more. As her new business is already successful, she may become the main provider for the family, potentially straining her marriage to Brandon further. Moreover, she may not be able to spend as much time with him as before. With these shifts in their marriage, Brandon may need to turn to his parents for emotional support. Hopefully, Brandon and Julia acquired the necessary tools during their time on 90 Day, The Last Resort that will help them face any future obstacles.